Okay, so here's an example of a problem where the x, or the variable that you're solving for, is not where it usually is. And then you've got all these pluses and minuses, which sometimes throw people off. So let's take a look at this example. Minus 5 minus 7 equals 4 minus x. Okay, so negatives tend to throw people off. And so the way I solve this is I look at this a little bit differently in that I change the negatives into positives. And here's what I mean. I basically rewrite this so that it's easier to understand. And I put them in parentheses. So now we've got negative 5 as one entity plus a negative 7 as another entity equals 4 plus negative x. Okay, so it's just a regrouping. And once you group these numbers into these parentheses, or the numbers within the parentheses, now we see that everything is adding to each other. And then when you add them together, it makes it easier. So for example, on the left side of the equation, a negative 5 plus a negative 7 is negative 12. Okay, and then we're going to leave the other side the same. And then naturally, you're going to want to move the 4 over to the other side. Okay, so we're going to move here to this side of the equation because we want x to be alone. Now, whether it's negative or positive, we don't care about that right now. We want all x's on one side of the equation, everything else on the other side of the equation. So we're going to move the 4 over to the left side of the equation. Whenever you move a number from one side of the equation to the other, the signs have to change. So what I mean by that is 4 is a positive 4 on the right side of the equation when you move it to the other side of the equation, and now becomes a negative. Okay, so what you get is this, negative 12 plus a negative 4 is equal to negative x. Okay, let me give you a couple seconds to kind of digest that. So now we've got two negative numbers on one side. We know that when we add them together, they become negative 16 is equal to negative x. Okay. Now, there are a number of different ways to do this next step. I try to keep things as simple as possible. Okay. When you have a negative x and you want to solve for x, you're basically going to change the sign on the other side of the equation. So in other words, this now becomes x equals 16. Okay, so we went from a negative x to a positive x. We changed the signs from a negative to a positive, which means the other side of the equation we have to do the same. So the negative 16 now becomes a positive 16. Okay, hopefully that made sense to you. If not, feel free to ask me specific questions on this problem, or maybe another problem that you've encountered that's not exactly like this, and I'd be happy to help you out. Thank you.